Hey everybody, welcome to Money's No Object. I am your host, Dylan Howell. This is episode number 82 of our YouTube channel and podcast, and I cannot be more excited to continue sharing with you guys personal finance topics that I think could be really useful to you in your long-term financial journey. Today, we're going to be talking about 11 ways to save on holiday meals. Now, who doesn't like a good Thanksgiving feast? Who doesn't like a good Christmas feast? You've got the turkey and the hams and the sweet potatoes and the stuffing and the dressing and the mashed potatoes, and my mouth's watering just thinking about it, right? Oh, let's not forget the gravy, right? And so all of these great things that we love to eat, but typically these are large gatherings with lots of people to feed. And whoever's hosting, it takes on a great burden of doing so. And so this is a costly thing to do. And so I want to help you with ways that you can save if you are the person hosting your holiday meals this year, or if you are maybe not the person cooking the meal, but you're the individual who is that person's spouse, and you know that you guys are going to be paying for that meal, then you need to take heed to the things that I'm saying here. That way you can minimize the cost of these big meals, but still enjoy it, still have a great time, still get to meet with family and friends and do all the things that you love to do and eat all of the things that you love to eat. Before we get started though, if you could, go down below, hit the big red subscribe button, like this video, leave me any feedback in the comments as we go along. Follow me on social media at MNO with Dylan on all the major social media platforms. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify podcasts, then be sure to subscribe there and leave me a review. And then if you want to work one-on-one with me in financial coaching, if you want somebody to help you be accountable and help you to create a financial plan and stick to a financial plan that will work well for you, then go to my website, www.mnowithdylan.com. Click on the Work with Dylan tab, and then pick the financial coaching session type that would work best for you and sign up for that today. Now, these 11 ways to save on holiday meals. I want to say before we jump into it that some of these are going to be extremely simple. Some of these are going to take a little more work on your part, but they are all going to be beneficial to you one way or another, allow you to save money and still enjoy your holiday gatherings in whatever way that they may come, whatever way that they may be, whatever way they may be controlled by state and local governments making decisions this year. Any way it goes, we want you to minimize your costs on these big gatherings and still enjoy them. So the first way that we can minimize our costs, that we can save on holiday meals and holiday gatherings, is you have to budget it in. Okay? Like, this is such a simple thing, but it is failed to do. People don't do this, right? And in the similar way that people don't budget for Christmas presents throughout the year. They know that they're going to go spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars on Christmas presents at the end of a year, for their family or their friends or whomever, right? Then why do they not budget for that? That's a huge expense. You budget for any other expense that's even anywhere near that size, and yet you don't budget for that because you just think, oh, it's coming, I'll be prepared. People aren't prepared, okay? But in the same way, because we're talking about these holiday meals, in the same way, for a holiday meal, you want to budget it in. Budget in a cost that you think would be an effective amount, a good amount to spend on this particular gathering, and stick to that budget. It's so huge to have it written down. It's so huge to have a line item that says Thanksgiving meal, and write in how much you're going to spend on the groceries for that meal and all the things that you are going to need to cook it, or all the things that you are going to need, like cups and plates and utensils and everything that goes into that meal. You need to budget it out, have it written out, and then you can continue moving forward with actually buying what you need to buy and moving forward. Yes, this is going to take a little time from you to budget this out, but in doing so, it will allow you to stick to a dollar amount, and it'll make you actually think through what you need, what you don't need, and what things actually cost. That's a big problem. People don't think about what stuff actually costs, and so they don't know how much they're going to spend. A lot of you, when I first said budget it in, probably said, well, I don't know how much it's going to be. You need to sit down and figure it out and it'll really help you out in your monthly budget, and it'll help you out moving forward because it won't have you working from a deficit in your financial life. And then the second thing is, I would say make a shopping list. Now, I say make a list for any time you go to the grocery store because I know our propensity as individuals to go and impulse buy and try to buy things that we see on the shelves and that we want at the store, because these stores are set up for us to see certain things and go buy those certain things. I don't want you to get caught up in that. So make a shopping list. Make a list of all the things that you are going to need and just buy those things. Do not buy anything above and beyond because you saw it on the shelf. Do not buy anything above and beyond because you think, oh, that might go well with so-and-so. No, you already have a plan. You have a list. Stick to the list. That's going to help you to, one, create that budget I said in the first part, right? Because that'll kind of be synonymous with budgeting for this, because you need to kind of make your list and determine what you need and what it's actually going to cost. And if you are doing that and then you break the list, you don't stick to the list, then you're going to end up spending typically more than you would have if you would have just stuck to the list. Okay, so having that list, sticking to the list is going to be a huge part of being able to save money and, if nothing else, just have a good idea of how much money you're going to spend. The third piece of advice I have for you is to shop the sales. Now, a lot of these grocery store chains, as you are leading up to certain holidays, start having sales on things that are going to be needed for that holiday. I know, for instance, that a couple weeks ago, my wife said, I know I'm going to need pumpkin filling, the stuff in a can, the pumpkin pie filling for, Thanksgiving, for Christmas. Then we need to go buy it now because it will be gone. And why do you think it'll be gone? Because it's probably, first of all, it's not exceedingly expensive, but things like that go on sale, and then everybody sees them. They're on the ends of aisles, and they're easy to pick up and just go on with. So she picked up several cans of it, right? And whether or not we'll use all the cans, who knows? But this was a good way of shopping the sales and doing it early. Now, at this point, a lot of you don't have a chance to do it early, but you can still go and you can check out different stores. Don't just go to the grocery store that you typically go to, right? Kind of look and see what the sales are. Kind of go online, check out other grocery stores, what their deals may be for that week, what they may have on sale, and you may say, oh, well, I'll just stop by there and I'll save on this turkey that I'm going to buy, or whatever that may be. But shop the sales, be cognizant of the things that are on sale and the things that you're going to need that may be on sale, because you may be able to get something that just as simple as a generic brand versus a name brand. You may get the generic brand at a significant markdown. So just be aware of the things that are on sale, be aware of the things that are cheaper, and be willing to go to different stores to find these things, to collect these things. That's going to help you make this delicious holiday meal that you're about to embark upon in just a couple of days. Now, I would also say, when you are in store, watch out for the unit price. Now, a lot of you don't pay attention to the unit price, and that's perfectly okay that you don't pay attention to it now. But let's start paying attention to the unit price. This isn't just going to help you for the holiday meal. This is going to help you for every grocery trip that you make from here on out. Because in the corner, not the most visible of fonts, the packages of just about anything that you buy have a per ounce cost, or a per gram cost, or whatever unit of measurement they are using. And what you need to do is look at that and compare that with something else that is the same thing, right? But maybe a different brand or a different size packaging. And you may be able to find that maybe a smaller package size is actually a better per unit cost. And you don't have to just look at the tiny font. You may just say, how many ounces is in this particular thing? What's the cost? Divide it out. You can get the unit cost yourself. Everybody's got a calculator on their phone, so you can quickly do that for yourself, and you can determine the unit cost and then compare it to the unit cost of another bag of something or bottle of something or whatever it may be. Because if you can minimize your unit cost, then you can likely minimize your overall costs. And doing this may actually surprise you as to how you get the best deal and what brands actually provide the best deals for you. Now, that said, this can also trick you into buying something that is far more than what you need. So a little asterisk by this particular step or this particular piece of advice is, even though a per unit cost may be lower, it could be for a huge quantity of something. If you just need a smaller quantity, first of all, just to not be wasteful, don't buy the large quantities. But in another way, you will end up spending a lot more money total on that large quantity. Now, per unit, it'd be less, but you may end up spending a lot more money total on a larger quantity of something that you aren't going to use. So you might just bite the bullet and buy the thing that has a slightly higher unit price, yet is in a smaller package, and it's what you need. It's what you are going to actually use for your holiday meal. So check out the unit price, see if it is reasonable to buy that much of something. And if it is, then you can definitely find you some good deals on the shelves. You just have to be intentional. You can't just go through grabbing stuff. I know stores are going to be packed for the next day or so. And you can't just go through just grabbing stuff and throwing it in the buggy, though. That's what we say here, buggy, or the shopping cart, right? You can't just go and throw things in the shopping cart that either you don't need or that you don't know the price of or whatever. You have to plan this out well, and you have to be diligent while you are in store to check those prices out. And the good news is nowadays you can actually go online beforehand and check out all of these things. And if maybe you don't do click list with Kroger, you don't do any other type of grocery pickup through your Walmart or your Costco or your whomever it may be. Even if you don't do that, you can still go on their site and see the prices for everything, and you can go through and check out the prices and even the per unit price. You can figure that out. So you can do it beforehand and then go to the store and know exactly what you need and pick up exactly what you need in store, and then you can do it quickly. And then another great benefit of having this digital access to these stores goes into the next piece of advice I have for you all, and that is to use coupons, right? And you may say, "Oh, Dylan, coupons are so old school. They're, it's such a waste of time to try to find coupons and to try to." Well, luckily, going to the sites of these stores online, on their apps, whatever it may be, it actually makes it really easy to find coupons for certain things that you buy or certain things that you will use in this particular holiday meal. A lot of these apps and sites are algorithmic to the point where if, let's say, you have a shopper's card with a particular, grocery store chain, then they know what you've bought over time. And so they will suggest certain coupons for you. And maybe some of those things are things that you are going to need for this holiday meal. And so you can quickly, have them, saved on your phone or prepared on your phone, or, if you want to go old school, you could probably print them out or whatever it may be. And you can find coupons that will help you to save money. I know that sometimes it seems like a waste of time, but if you are trying to get somewhere financially that you want to go and you're really trying to save money and limit the unnecessary expenditures that you may have, then you need to be diligent about every single dollar. And one way to do that is through finding coupons that are going to save you and your family money. Now, this next suggestion is a way that a lot of families have done things over time, and a way that to a certain extent my family has done things over time, and that is go potluck. Right? If you go potluck style with things, then what's that going to help you do? That is going to help you to save money on what you have to prepare and what you have to do. Maybe you do some of the main things like the turkey or the ham or some of the major sides, but you have other people bring things and everybody, comes together, and then you can have this large meal at a limited cost to yourself. And that can be a huge advantage to have, because if you aren't responsible for everything or for a vast majority of things, then you have more money left over. It's going to be less of a burden on you financially to do this large meal. And you may be surprised, even if you've done it for years and years and your family has gotten used to you doing this and this being, your holiday gathering and your thing. I guarantee you, in most families, if you just call somebody and be like, "Hey, can you bring, this side dish, or can you bring this. I really like this that you make. And, can you make that for our gathering? Then, you're probably going to get a lot of yeses. And if you get a lot of yeses, then, you can really minimize the burden on yourself. You can minimize the number of dishes that you have to prepare, which is a help not just towards your budget, but it's a help towards the time that you spend on things and the time that you dedicate to this large gathering and large meal. And if you can minimize those things, then you're going to be much better off and far less burdened. And you're probably going to get a lot of things that are more variety of foods and more variety of things that people have brought. They may not all be good. Maybe that's why you are the one making the holiday meal in the first place, because you're the only cook in the family, and that's understandable too. But tell them to get store-bought and bring that for the potluck style. But regardless, right, doing this can save you money. It can save you time. It can save you the burden of having to make this very intricate, large holiday meal. Now, this next one goes without saying, and I'm going to say it anyway, obviously. But if you've ever had a Thanksgiving meal worth its salt or a Christmas meal worth its salt, it was made from scratch. It was made from somebody who knew what they were doing in the kitchen and actually made it for you. And this is no surprise that this would be a way that you can save money. Why? Why is this the case? Because most prepackaged, pre-made things that are just going to tell you to warm them up, or just, throw some butter and water and mix it up, or whatever it may be, right? Most things like that are going to be more expensive than doing something from scratch. Now, is it going to be a bigger strain on your time to do certain things from scratch? Yes. But if we were worried about money, if we were worried about saving money, which is the idea of today's video, saving money on the things that we need for this holiday gathering, if that is the idea, then the way that you're going to save money is by cooking from scratch. And then, not to mention, if you have somebody in your family who is cooking this meal, or you're cooking this meal and you're a very good cook, you probably do things better from scratch anyway. Now, is this going to put a bigger burden on you? Yes. And this may bring even more reason to do something like a potluck, or where other people bring things and pitch in and help you out with the burden of this meal. But it will save you money to do things from scratch and not do the pre-made, pre-packaged things. Even though they may be good enough, they are going to be more expensive. And so you're going to have to just figure out for yourself, is it worth my time to make something from scratch when I could just do the prepackaged version and save time and have that, and it's good enough, and people will like that anyway. That's a decision you have to make for yourself. But if we're just simply trying to save money, from scratch is the way to go. And then another thing you can do is just consider new traditions. I know that all of the advertisements you see and all of the things you see on TV and the things that you hear and the things that you see other people doing are this big, intricate meal with, turkey and ham and dressing and stuffing and gravy and potatoes and, all the green beans, all these different things, right? You see all this, but maybe, just maybe, this should not be the way you try to go about your holiday meal. Now, if that's something you want to be dead set on doing and doing it in a traditional way, that's fine. But just know that you might be able to save money in doing it a different way. I'll give you a very specific example as to how this can happen. What my wife's side of the family, her dad's family, what they will do is they will all come together and they will bring different families will bring a soup, right? Or a chili or some type of something in a crock pot, right? And they'll do just, basically a smorgasbord of soups, right? And so that kind of, does two things. One, it makes it a little cheaper on everybody, because making one big pot of soup is going to be a lot cheaper than making a lot of different types of dishes, naturally. And then obviously doing something in a potluck style like that, like we've talked about previously, can be extremely helpful as well. And so doing something like this that is a little against tradition, that's a little, different. But I don't think people, and some people may, but I don't think people are always so into the traditional foods that they wouldn't be happy with having other things on the Christmas menu or on the Thanksgiving menu or whatever it may be, right? I don't think a lot of people are just so dead set that they won't take anything but the tradition. And maybe it just takes once. Maybe it just takes once of trying something new, and then they'll realize, oh, well, that was a good idea, and that was pretty cheap to do, and let's just do that every year. Like if your only obligation was to make, some chili and cornbread, then that's going to be a cheap thing for you to do versus making a whole big traditional Thanksgiving meal. Or if your whole thing was, I'm just going to make things to go with the soups, then, that's going to be far cheaper for you than, making a huge intricate meal. And so these are just things to consider, right? You can just do things like this that really help you out. And it may be a little against the grain and maybe a little different from things that you've done before. But sometimes when you're trying to get right financially, sometimes when you're trying to do some different things financially, you have to rock the boat a little bit. You have to do some different things. And in doing these different things, the reason that I'm saying them is you will save money doing them. So you just have to realize what is most important to you and what you really feel like is going to push you forward in your financial life versus other things that you could be trying, and just figure out what works for you and what you can do best moving forward. Now, a couple more things that I have for you. First off, I would also say, let's serve buffet style. So if you are doing a traditional Thanksgiving meal, instead of just having a table and filling up the table with all the foods, then set it up somehow, somewhere that is kind of buffet style. And something that you don't know is that doing it buffet style and having somebody go dish by dish by dish to get what they want actually makes it seem like there's more food and more things to choose from than there actually are. So this is more of a trick that you can use than a tip. But this trick can actually keep you from having to make 40 different side dishes for your Thanksgiving meal. And so doing things out buffet style will actually help you to create the illusion that you did all this big cooking. And maybe it's not near as much as it seems. That's not saying not have enough food for everybody. Have enough food, but maybe limit the number of options, limit the number of choices of things that you end up making. And that's an easy way to do it, and an easy little trick that can keep people thinking that you outdid yourself, even when you may not have outdone yourself. And then also load up on inexpensive sides. Is a turkey probably going to be one of the more expensive things you deal with? Yes. Is a ham going to be one of the more expensive things that you deal with? Yes. But who doesn't love mashed potatoes? Who doesn't love, the rolls, right? People come for store-bought rolls that are delicious. Who doesn't love rolls? Who doesn't like green beans or green bean casserole or green bean bundles or things like that? Those things are so inexpensive to make, and they're so inexpensive to buy, and load up on things like that. Load up on things that aren't as expensive that you can put with the big thing that maybe cost you a lot of time and money to prepare. But it doesn't have to be the only thing that is out there for you to give to your family. It's not, or your friends or whomever. It doesn't have to be the main thing. It doesn't have to overpower everything else. You can have some of these inexpensive sides where you just maybe, instead of doing the buffet style thing, like I said, to where you are maybe making less sides or less different, less options for your guests. Maybe instead of doing that, you can have a lot of options, but those options are inexpensive options. And trust me, people love the inexpensive stuff just as much as they love the more intensive and expensive things in most cases. So this is another way that you can save money, another way that you can create the illusion that you have done all of this big work, even though I know you probably do a lot of big work for this particular meal. But it creates the illusion that you've done something very expensive and intricate, when maybe those sides were just a couple dollars a piece, and it all works out more fiscally responsible for you and your family. And then lastly, this is something for those of you who have a little bit more of an artistic bend to you, and you have more of a bend towards creating things and making it look like, fall and look like Thanksgiving in your house or look like Christmas or whatever it may be. A lot of people want a centerpiece for their Thanksgiving table, and they want a centerpiece that they can use for Thanksgiving, and that they can, it can convey the season, it can convey the day, whatever that may be. What you can do is you can make one of these on your own, or you can get your children involved, or something along those lines, to where you end up saving money on this. You don't have to go buy a big, nice centerpiece if that is something that is important to you. A lot of you may be thinking, this is not important to me at all. I don't know why you brought this up. To a lot of people, a centerpiece is a big part of a gathering, a big part of a holiday meal or a family function, and they put a lot of thought into that. But if you're trying to save money and you're trying to limit your costs on this holiday meal, and you want a centerpiece, then either make one on your own. So in the same way that creating food from scratch is cheaper, also creating this type of centerpiece from scratch is cheaper. Or like I said, get your kids involved, do something creative, have some type of project that you help your kids to create this centerpiece that everybody will see, and people will probably enjoy that a whole heck of a lot more than something that you went and bought and spent way too much money on to just stick right in the center of your table that honestly I don't care anything about, but you may. But if you do, then doing it in an inexpensive fashion, a way that is more responsible, more in tune with what you're trying to do with saving money and getting your financial life on track, then making it on your own, doing it by yourself, being creative, and just having fun with it can be a lot more beneficial to you and your family. So those are the 11 things I have for you. I hope that you took something from this that can actually help you. I know none of it was far too groundbreaking or crazy, but hopefully it is helpful to you. Hopefully it's things that you can keep in your mind as you go about creating the, ultimately delicious holiday meal that I know that you and your family are going to enjoy together. So thanks for watching this video. Go down below, hit the big red subscribe button if you haven't already. Like this video, leave me any feedback in the comments if you haven't gotten to that yet. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify podcasts, then make sure that you subscribe and leave me a review on those platforms. Follow me on social media at MNO with Dylan. And then if you want to work one-on-one with me, creating a financial plan that would work best for you, then we can work together in financial coaching sessions. Just go to my website, www.mnowithdylan.com. Click on the Work with Dylan tab and pick the financial coaching session type that would work best for you. And we can begin working together and pushing towards your long-term financial goals. So tune in tomorrow as I talk about not talking about certain things at the Thanksgiving table, and one of those things being money and people's financial situations. So we're going to try to limit the discomfort this year and talk about those things in tomorrow's video. So thanks for tuning into this episode of Money's No Object. I'm your host, Dylan Howell. God bless.